Yo, what is good, YouTube? It is your boy Make America Lit, back with another NBA 2K23 video. And in today's video, I have another NBA recap video for you guys today, as you can see on your screen. In today's video, we're going to be discussing Irving's free agency destinations, or his potential free agent destinations, and where he might be going in this offseason. So now, as you may know, Kyrie Irving is going to be one of, if not the biggest free agent in this upcoming offseason. And he has a huge decision to make as far as his future in basketball moving forward. Now, as you guys may or may not know, I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan. And as a Mavs fan, ultimately, I hope he decides to stay and re-sign with the Mavs. But realistically, I know there is a possibility that he may play elsewhere. Now, the Mavs are his fourth team after stints with Cleveland, where he won a championship with LeBron, the Boston Celtics, the Brooklyn Nets, and, of course, now the Dallas Mavericks. I believe the best case scenario for the Mavericks would be a 2+1 3-year deal, 2-year with the player option for that last year. Now, obviously, that completely benefits my Mavs in case things doesn't work out. The contract is very tradable. It's movable. It's not like, a 5-6 year deal or anything like that that's going to kill us or be hard to move or trade like that CP3, deal. But, it would also give whoever he gets traded to at least another 2-year minimum of Kyrie, Now, on the flip side of that, though, is that if I'm Kyrie Irving, I'm not taking anything less than 4 years, I'm 31 years old. I'm still in my prime, but, I've had some injuries here and there. But I can still perform at a, all-star level. I'm still able to give you 25, 26, 27 a game and, 4 assists a game. So why wouldn't I, try to shoot for a payday? So, and of course, with the information that we have as to why he, left Brooklyn and stuff like that, pro tip, it was because they wouldn't agree to a long-term deal. It's not like he hated Brooklyn or he didn't want to play in Brooklyn. Him and KD wanted to play in Brooklyn. Brooklyn didn't want to agree to a long-term deal because of the whole, COVID vaccination thing, which I understand why, and I totally get why he didn't want to get vaccinated, and I totally understand why they needed him to get vaccinated as somebody who lives in New York City. And I totally understand why the Brooklyn Nets didn't want to extend him long-term with everything that was going on there with him. And I totally understand why KD also didn't want to stay and be a part of that team or whatever, because, sorry about the sirens in the back. Of course, he came to Brooklyn to play with Kyrie, and then, initially Kyrie, and then, of course, Kyrie and James Harden. He didn't come there to play with Kyrie and Ben Simmons. He didn't come there to play with Ben Simmons and Seth Curry, which, once the Kyrie trade, that's all that was left was him and, Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie. He didn't come here to play with Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith and Ben Simmons and Seth Curry. He didn't, So that's the real reason why he left Brooklyn. And that means that he's looking for at least a 4-year deal or a 5-year deal. And again, like I said, it's totally understandable since he's 31 years old. This will most likely be his last really big payday as an NBA player. So he wants that 4-year deal or that 5-year deal max contract if he can get it, So it's totally understandable. I'm not mad at that. If that's what we have to do to, keep him in a Dallas uniform, then so be it. It's better to do that than to just let him walk and, or have to pull off a sign and trade and get peanuts or no real value back, when we can have a 27 point per game scorer helping Luka night in and night out. The Mavs also have his bird rights, which means that, we can still offer him the most money, and we could go over the cap to match anything anyone else offers him anyway, because we have his bird rights. So it's probably in his best interest to either re-sign with us or to try to work out a signing trade if he doesn't want to, stay with us. But, either way, he's going to have to play ball with us because that's going to be his, biggest chance at the best payday. But what if Kyrie wants out? And in today's video, we're going to kind of be talking about the potential free agency destinations Kyrie can, possibly be looking at. So, starting off, we're going to be looking at destination number 7. There is 7 different teams that I have on this list. Team number 7 or destination 7, the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, the rumor mill already, nixed the whole Kyrie rumors at the start of the playoffs, saying that the Lakers weren't interested in Kyrie anymore. I personally think Kyrie to the Lakers is a super long shot, which is why I have them 7th on the list. The only way I seen this happening, and I don't see it happening anymore, but the only way I saw this happening is if the Lakers had somehow lost to the Memphis Grizzlies or the Lakers had somehow lost to the Golden State Warriors in the last series of the playoffs. Going from the 13th seed to the 7th seed, and then now going from 13th seed to 7th seed to Western Conference Finals, I think the Lakers are willing to bet on the personnel that they have there in LA. I don't think they're going to be trying to make any crazy moves or trades, not unless they can get a perennial top 5 player. If there's some way for them to get like a Luka Doncic, for them to get a Giannis, a player of that caliber, they might try to finesse and make that trade. But I think if they're not getting a top 5 player, they're not making any trades. They're not trading anybody. They're not cutting anybody. They're not, waiving anybody, anything of that nature. Now after blowing up that 2020 championship team that won in the bubble, I don't think the Lakers front office are dumb enough to let some of these guys walk. I expect them to bring back and sign Austin Reeves to extension. I expect for them to re-sign D'Angelo Russell, who have been, key contributors to their regular season and playoff successes to those trades at the deadline. As well as bringing back guys like Schroeder as well, too. Dennis Schroeder's been really good for them as well, too. So the only way I see the Lakers even attempting to lure Kyrie to LA, is if the Lakers somehow lose out on D'Angelo Russell. Maybe they get into a bidding war and, D'Angelo Russell decides to take the money and go somewhere else. But based on what I've heard him say about being back in LA and how, he enjoyed playing in LA and wants to be in LA, I think he might even take a pay cut just to run it back with LeBron. Even if they don't win a championship, I can see D'Angelo Russell running it back and staying in LA just to play with LeBron and AD again, for a possible championship next year. Who knows? And even then, it would take a lot of moving pieces to make Kyrie to LA work. So that's why I don't really see this as a reality. That's why I have the Lakers at destination number 7. Unlikely, but it's still like a little slither, just a little shining twinkle in the back of, the closet, a little glimmer of light that's like, it could still happen. Like, all of the right cards would have to fall in line. Like, you would have to, flip a coin and a coin, land upright up top. Like, it doesn't land heads or tails. It lands on the side of the coin. Like, how many times would you have to flip a coin for that to happen? Like, that's how I feel about Kyrie to the Lakers. Like, it's possible, but would it happen? Probably not. Now, moving on to destination number 6, we have the San Antonio Spurs. Now, I have the San Antonio Spurs at number 6 on this list, when in reality, they should probably be number 7 behind the Lakers, because realistically, I just don't see this happening. Now, we all know Kyrie Irving is an amazing player, talented player, one of the best guards in the NBA, one of the best scorers in the league today. And even now, I would say Kyrie's still a top 20 player. I promise you, you can't name 20 plus players better than Kyrie Irving. You can't. You could probably name 5. You could probably name 10. You could probably even maybe name 15 players better than Kyrie. But I promise you, you're not naming 20 players that are better than Kyrie Irving in the NBA right now. And you probably can't even name 15. Kyrie's probably top 15, if we're being honest. Now, with that being said, I don't really think San Antonio would really pursue him. I just think that, his personality and style kind of clashes with the organization and Popovich. So I won't really go into great detail about San Antonio. But they do have the cap space to make moves this offseason. And just like the other teams on the list, they're a very, fairly young team going through a current rebuild right now. But you never know. Popovich might be able to entice Kyrie there, one of the best stars in the league, pairing him with one of the best coaches, a Hall of Fame coach like Popovich. It could definitely turn things around for them, in San Antonio, along with the other young players that they have on the team, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and stuff like that. I think it could work. You never know. But I just don't see San Antonio trying to pursue Kyrie Irving. That's just me, though. I could be wrong. And he might end up in San Antonio. Who knows? But that's why I have the Spurs at destination number 6. Destination number 5, we have the Houston Rockets. Now, out of all the teams I have on this list, the Rockets are probably second as far as upside and potential goes, as they are still a very, 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 very young team with a lot of potential. But a young team is also going to have a lot of growing pains, as well as going through, developmental hell, because they're trying to develop their players, turn them into professionals and star players and young talent. That probably won't seem very attractive to Kyrie. But then again, the one thing that I've come to learn about Kyrie Irving is that you never really know what Kyrie Irving is thinking. You never really know what's on Kyrie Irving's mind. You never really know what Kyrie Irving wants. He might want one thing today. He might want another thing tomorrow. He might, care about, winning MVP or something today. He might care about winning the NBA championship tomorrow. He might care about just being a really good player or making a Hall of Fame or whatever. I don't know, but I'm just saying, you just don't really know what he is or what he wants until you speak to the man, So I can't really rule out the Houston Rockets for that very reason. You have guys like Alperen, Sengun, you got Jabari Smith Jr., Josh Christopher, and Jalen Green, all on team-friendly rookie deals, You have Kevin Porter Jr. extended, signing a rookie extension for the next, 4 years or 3 years, something like that. And more importantly, the Rockets are projected to have anywhere between 48 to 63 million in cap space, meaning they can make some moves, whether they have to move some players around or just outright sign players. They have some space, they have some, assets that they can move around where they can not only get Kyrie Irving, but they could also try to make a move and get another star to pair him with in Houston with some of those young guys. So now, whether Kyrie Irving is willing to be part of a team that's in a rebuild right now, that's still growing, remains to be seen. But he certainly wants a long-term deal, I'm sure of that. And he definitely wants to get paid, I'm sure of that. So I could totally see Kyrie and another star player making their way to Houston and kind of building on top of what those, young guys have there and turning that team from just a hard rebuild or a hard reset to a contending team, Because if you have Kyrie Irving and another star player, you're a contending team, Moving on, destination number 4, we have the Orlando Magic. Now, Orlando doesn't have the glitz and glamour that South Beach has, but what it lacks in celebrity, it makes up for in cap space and talent. Young guys with high potential like Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, who are both projected to have really high ceilings. And on top of that, not only just being young, because, they're both 21 and 22 respectively, but they're also still on rookie contracts, which means they aren't, costing you a lot of money on your cap. You have a 43% three-point shooter in a guy like Gary Harris, who shoots the ball really well. And then you also have a talented big in Wendell Carter Jr. And then you got to also keep in mind, right, that's not even mentioning guys like Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, Bobo, or Jonathan Isaac, who is looking to make a comeback after dealing with some, unlucky injuries. And while as it is, I don't see Orlando making, the playoffs next year. And it's not totally impossible for them to sneak into the play-ins. I don't see them making the playoffs next year outright, but they can sneak into the play-ins as they were only 6 games behind the Bulls this season for that play-in spot. So getting a star player like Kyrie Irving to pair with Banchero and Wagner, could certainly put them over the edge and solidify them as a, playoff team. They can potentially steal that spot from, Miami Heat. If Miami Heat are riddled with injuries again next, if they lose guys, trade guys or anything like that, they could easily sneak in and steal a spot from like a New York Knicks. I'm trying to think who was the 7th seed in the East. I honestly can't even remember who even was the 7th seed in the East. I know Miami was 8th because Miami played the Bucks, and then who was 2nd? Matter of fact, I think the 7th was the Nets, right? Because they played the 76ers, I believe, right? So, yeah, it might have been the 76ers, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. Maybe it wasn't 76ers. Maybe it was somebody else. But my point is, I'm ranting. I'm ranting and stuff. But I think that the Magic, if you put Kyrie on that team, you're possibly talking about now sneaking in at that 7th, 8th, maybe even 6th spot. We all know that the East is top heavy. Outside of the top 3 or 4 teams, Celtics, Bucks, 76ers, maybe Cavs I would throw in there. You're kind of just like, okay, anybody can sneak in at that 4th through 8th spot. And with the play-in tournament, you don't even need to make the 7th or 8th spot. You can make the 9th or 10th spot and still sneak in at that 7th and 8th spot. So anything can happen from 4 to 10, in my opinion, in the East. The West is a little bit harder to come out, on top or in the play-ins. But the East is kind of free, outside that top 3, top 4. Moving on to our destination number 3, we have the Utah Jazz. Now, I know some of you are probably shocked to see the Utah Jazz on the list. I know you're probably like, yo, what the hell is he talking about, the Utah Jazz? I know. Now, let me just explain. Utah isn't that far-fetched, all right? I think they're still missing 1 or 2 pieces before they're ready to really compete. They also need a little bit depth to them. But they started out very hot. They started out fire red in the 2022 season. But they burnt out really fast as the more veteran-led teams kind of buckled down towards the middle of the season. The Utah Jazz could just never really get, I guess their legs under them and stuff like that. And, it's unfortunate that they couldn't even make the play-in. I was really hoping that they would make the play-in at least. They're one of those teams that I had to watch. There was 3 teams that I thought was going to do really, really good this year. I thought the Sacramento Kings was going to go crazy. I thought the New Orleans Pelicans were going to go crazy with Zion coming back. And then I had the Utah Jazz, making some noise. Because I really thought that, with the trades and everything that they did, they were going to make some noise. Not that they were going to be a top 4 seed or anything like that, but I really thought that the Utah Jazz would probably sneak into the playoffs as a 7th seed or an 8th seed. I thought the Kings would sneak in at a 5 or 6 seed as well too. And I definitely had the Pelicans making it in at a 6, a 5, 4 seed. I really thought that those 3 teams were going to do, really well. And unfortunately, I was I was 1 for 3. The Kings really shocked everybody and they played really well, which I thought they would. But the Pelicans, Zion still not playing, Brandon Ingram dealing with injuries, it is what it is. But the thing about the Jazz is that they don't just have assets, they also have draft picks. They have, 3 picks in 2023 this year in the draft. In 2024, they have their own pick, which is top 10 protected. So, depending on how next season goes, that pick might be theirs, if they don't, exceed expectations. They got 3 picks in 2025, and they got 2 picks, including a pick swap in 2026. I think the pick swap is with Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. And then they also have 4 picks in 2027. So that's a nice amount of draft stock that they have, along with assets, which means they have the capital needed to make moves and trades if they need to facilitate some trades or, needs or wants, be it in the, NBA draft or in the off season or during the regular season. They got amazing play from their rookie Kessler this year, who looked really good, who was also third in Rookie of the Year votes, made a rookie All-Star team, All-Rookie team. They got amazing play from Lauri Markkanen, who has finally emerged as a star this season, or a young star, a potential star. Wouldn't call him a star just yet, but he was an all-star. So he has emerged as an all-star. But I do think he has what it takes to be the making of a potential star player. Not a superstar, but a star player. Who also took home Most Improved Player of the Year award. And he also received second and third team All-NBA votes. So, Lauri Markkanen is definitely going to be on people's, boards and scouting reports and stuff next year for sure. Shot the ball really well as, too, this year as well, too. Just stroking it from deep. Pause. Utah Jazz is also looking to move Colin Sexton, as far as the rumor mills goes. So I think it's totally in the realm of possibility for them to make a sign and trade work. If they could convince Kyrie Irving, or if Kyrie Irving could be convinced to come to Utah, or if he just wants to come to Utah, I think Lauri Markkanen, Kyrie, and Kessler could make for an interesting core for this young Utah team. And certainly be what they need to put them over as a playoff or play-in team. This season, they were only 4 games out of the play-in tournament. If you added Kyrie Irving to that, even if you're taking away Colin Sexton and maybe a Jordan Clarkson and somebody else, I still think with Kyrie, Kessler, and Markkanen, at the very least, you're looking at a play-in team, or it's a core that's going to have the makings of a play-in team, And as you can see with teams like the Lakers, teams like the Miami Heat, a lot of people think that the play-in tournament just means that you're dead in the water, you have no chance in hell. But look at that. The Miami Heat are the 8th seed, and they went from play-in to literally Eastern Conference Finals. Lakers went from 13th seed to 7th seed play-in to now Western Conference Finals. So this year right here alone is proof that you can actually make the play-ins and still make a deep playoff run. I mean, you don't want to make the play-in because you don't want to have to play those unnecessary games. But just because you're in the play-in tournament doesn't mean that, I'm just going to get clapped. They're going to walk us by 20 points and that's it. Our season is over. You can't be like the Miami Heat or the Los Angeles Lakers and still make a deep playoff run while being a play-in team. Now, moving on to our second destination, we are looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's right, the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is my destination number 2. Now, outside of the obvious choice, I think the OKC Thunder is actually a sleeper choice for Kyrie. But the only hindrance, in my opinion, is going to be more on OKC wanting Kyrie versus Kyrie just wanting to go there. Every other team on this list would welcome Kyrie Irving with open arms, whereas the OKC Thunder, honestly, they're in a very, very good place right now. They really don't even need Kyrie Irving. The sky is the limit for them. They have 3 picks in the 2023 draft. They have 4 picks in the 2024 draft. They have 4 picks in the 2025 draft. And they got 6 picks in the 2026 draft. That is 17 draft picks over the next 4 years. So meaning not only do they have the players and the assets that they can move and trade, let's say everybody but Shai and Giddey are available. You're looking at both Jalen Williams. You're looking at Chet Holmgren. You're looking at Trey Mann. You're looking at Poku. You're looking at Kenrich Williams. You're looking at Dort. You have not only draft capital, but you also have a bevy of assets that they can move. As well as whatever this 2023 pick turns into, which could convey into getting Victor Wembanyama, which will just add to the list of assets and really good players that they have. They also have, like I said, Chet Holmgren, who sat out for a whole year this year, and can also potentially land another big name rookie, like I said, in this upcoming draft. So putting together a package for Kyrie plus another star to go along with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Giddey could actually make for a very interesting core. You know, because they already have a top 10 player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They have a really good, player and playmaker in Giddey. You know, and then if you pair that with a really good scorer in Kyrie Irving, plus getting another player, you know, the sky really is the limit for OKC. You know, they certainly have the assets and the picks to make magic happen if they wanted to. And they also have enough draft stock and players to weather the storm and develop their own homegrown guys. So they don't really need Kyrie at the same time, but it would be nice to have him. But like I said, this is one of those teams. This is probably the team that's in the best position out of every single person or every single team on this list. As they can really, you know, go all out and get Kyrie and see how it goes. Or they could completely ignore him and just, you know, weather the storm with their guys and just try to develop their own homegrown guys and see what talent they can, you know, get out of these guys, you know, because as far as drafting, they've been hitting on their picks, you know, Giddey, Jalen's, pretty sure Dort. I'm not sure if Dort was drafted. He might have been undrafted, you know, but they've been really good at finding guys, drafting guys, and developing guys, you know. But OKC is far and away the best team with the brightest future and the most talent if Kyrie does really care about going to a team that has potential to be a really good winner, you know. OKC Thunder definitely up there. And finally, for destination number 1, and you guys probably already knew that this was going to be destination number 1, obviously. But last but not least, of course, the Dallas Mavericks. Now, you guys probably already knew that as a Mavs fan, I was going to say Dallas was the number 1 destination for him. It makes sense. We're the team that can pay him the most money, and we most certainly will offer him a long-term deal. I think the one thing that we have most of these teams, you know, don't have, and that's an established superstar. You know, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander elevated his game this season, and he balled crazy this year. He went stupid. He was in the top 5 voting for MVPs. I think he was like 5th, if I'm not mistaken. You know, even surpassed Luka, you know, in MVP voting this year, you know, which it makes sense. His team performed a little bit better. He made the play-in. Luka team kind of just fell flat. You know, it is what it is. But Luka has been playing out of his mind for the last 3 years, really 4 years. He's been Rookie of the Year, All-Rookie First Team, All-NBA First Team multiple years, All-Star multiple years, MVP candidate multiple years, MVP favorite multiple years. Even coming into this year, he was MVP favorite. And more recently, he's led his team to a Western Conference Finals berth, you know. And as good as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, he just isn't as established as Luka, even though I think he's going to be a superstar in this league. You know, he's just not, he hasn't been doing it for as long as Luka has been doing it. He's not as established. That's all I'm saying. You also have a team that has just made a deep playoff run, which also gives them the edge over a lot of these other teams, you know. But the one thing far and away that we have over these other teams, you know, it's quite simply Luka Doncic. You know, Luka is a top 5 player in the NBA right now. Whether you believe Luka is number 5, number 4, number 3, or even if you're crazy enough to think he's number 1, which even as a Dallas Maverick fans, I don't think he's number 1 or even the number 2 player in the league. He's most certainly a top 5 player. That much is true. And maybe if you want to argue, you might argue he's maybe falling out of that top 5 into 6 or 7. Because I know that the NBA, you know, suffers from recency bias. And if you aren't currently winning, people like to shit on you or throw you under the bus. It's just how this league works. You know, he's not in the playoffs, so that means he's not a top 5 player, you know, according to the talking heads on ESPN and stuff. But whatever. In my opinion, he's still a top 5 player. And he's one of the best guards in the league, you know. He's one of, if not the best playmaker in the league as well, too. You know, I think that alone gives us the edge over all of these teams outside of maybe the Lakers. And that's just because the Lakers have 2 top 10 players in LeBron and Anthony Davis, you know, and you can't really compete with that. One top 5 player doesn't equate to 2 top 10 or top 15 players. So, that's that. But I'm just saying, for the rest of these teams, they don't have that. We have that. Besides, of course, the Lakers. And then with how aggressive this front office has been in the last 2 years with making moves, signings, and trades, getting people, bringing people in, cutting people, waiving people, trading people. I think that they're finally showing that they're willing to make whatever necessary moves we need to make in order to win and to build a winning team. And with Kai being 31, the window for a championship with him as an integral piece isn't that wide. We're looking at least a 4 to 5 year window. Once he hits, 35, 36, that's probably when that window is going to be closing, which means every season, every off season, every playoff, every trade, every signing, every free agency, all of that, et cetera, et cetera. Every single one matters. Every game, everything matters from here on out. Will matter, will have significant importance. So, we don't really have any time to waste. We don't have any games to waste. We don't have any seasons to really waste. Now, if I was a betting man, which I am, I would bet that he probably re-signs with the Dallas Mavericks. Now, if for whatever reason he doesn't sign with the Mavs, I do think that he'll probably end up on one of the teams that I, put on this list. It's been your boy, Make America Lit. Drop a comment down below and let me know where you think Kyrie will be playing this season that's upcoming. Where do you guys think Kyrie is going to end up? It's been your boy, Make America Lit. I'm out, guys. Peace.